How's your night shift going? Just a quick check-in from Acorn Insurance, the taxi specialists. We've been by your side for over 40 years, helping new drivers earn a no-claims bonus from day one and accepting up to 9 years no claims from veteran cabbies. That's why we're the largest taxi insurance specialist in the UK. Find out more at acorninsure.co.uk/taxi. Bye for now. Acorn Insurance and Financial Services Limited is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Quaker is an official sponsor of Team GB, and rightly so. After all, the rowing team's motto is Oats Move Boats. But why stop there? Team GB, if you're listening, try these on for size. Quaker sachets, move bob sleighs. Ugly bowl, forward roll. One for the gymnasts. The world's your stage when you eat some beige? Maybe just stick to Oats Move Boats. Quaker. Deliciously real, deliciously ugly sponsor of Team GB.
You know that guy I've been seeing?
Yeah.
Turns out my sister's been seeing him too.
Oh, really?
And I heard he's been seeing Kelly at number 56. And Dave.
Your brother?
Yep.
Specsavers opticians and audiologists own and run their stores, so your care is their business, which can make them rather popular.
I've got something to tell you. I've got half an hour with him this afternoon.
Specsavers, your care is our business. Book an appointment today.
Hey Sainsbury's, have you got anything to help my money go further?
Well, if you want to make some big savings, make sure to use Nectar Prices and your Nectar Prices at Sainsbury's. Together they can save you over £450 a year on your food shop.
Bring it on.
Download the Nectar app and tap into great savings. Sainsbury's, good food for all of us. 18 plus Nectar app required. For full terms, see help.sainsburys.co.uk/help/Nectar prices.
Yorkshire tea, where everything is done proper. Yorkshire tea, where everything is done proper.
Maybe not.
Yorkshire tea, where everything's done properly. Yorkshire tea.
Right, enough of that. How about Yorkshire tea, where everything's done proper?
Whatever your needs, configure your perfect PC or laptop at PC Specialist. Visit pcspecialist.co.uk.
Total Football is about teamwork. It's built on trust, support, and responsibility. LiveScore Bet sees responsible gambling in the same way. So if you're under the cosh, it's time to slow the tempo down. We've got tips and advice on how to stay in total control of your betting. Visit the safer gambling section of livescorebet.com to learn more. LiveScore Bet, total betting. Bet responsibly, 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Sunday night from 11, Super Bowl 60 on Talk Sports, bringing you a giant foam finger of Super Bowl buildup, followed by gridiron grinding commentary of the Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. Super Bowl 60, Sunday night from 11 on Talk Sports.
If you love your basketball, every London Lions game in the BKT Euro Cup 2025-26 is being streamed live and free on TalkSport's YouTube channel. Watch Bourg-en-Bresse against London Lions live right now. TalkSport YouTube channel. Now, we've got more live football than anywhere else. This is TalkSport at the Etihad for Man City, Newcastle, and in this stadium this season, City have lost 2-0 to Spurs and to Leverkusen. They've given up leads here against Chelsea and Brighton. Newcastle can draw a little bit of hope from those results as they prepare for the game tonight. Man City, Newcastle. Time now to get an odds update with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And Chris Wood from Ladbrokes is with us. Man City must be favourites for this one at home to Newcastle tonight, Chris.
Yeah, decent favourites. They're shaded odds on 10 to 11 to win in 90 minutes. The draws in at 14 to 5 and Newcastle were 13 to 5. Obviously, Man City are 1 to 33 to qualify. After the first leg result, and Newcastle 11 to 1. I think there could be some goals there tonight. Over 3.5 is 7 to 5. Over 4.5 is 16 to 5, and both teams to score is 4 to 7. But you were talking about Trippier earlier, and I think that could be a real focus for Man City down that side. Semenyo, he'll probably be up against him. He's 5-1 to score the first goal and 6-4 to score any time. The assist there is 17-4 as well. And Aït-Nouri as well, I think he could get up and down quite well there. He's 5-1 to get an assist, 18-1 to score the first goal and 13-2 to score any time. Main goal threat for Newcastle, probably Anthony Gordon. He'll probably be on pens as well. He's 9-1 to score the first goal and 3-1 to score any time.
So Chris Wood not giving Newcastle much hope either. Carabao Cup outright. Arsenal are through to the Wembley final, so surely they're favourites, right?
Yeah, they're 8-11 with us at the moment. Man City are evens, and Newcastle are 33s. Obviously, that if Newcastle do the unthinkable tonight, I think they'll go off about 7-4 in the final, and Arsenal will come into around the 4-9 mark.
We were talking last night on air about whether if Arsenal, say, win the Premier League and the Champions League, does it better the Invincibles season? If they win all four, that's got to be a better season than the Invincibles seasons. How many titles do you think they can win?
Well, so we've actually seen a bit of interest in this today. Arsenal to win all four, currently at 33-1. We've laid a couple of fairly chunky bets on that. To do the domestic treble is 8-1, and for the wheels to completely come off and no trophies to be won for them at all is currently 12-1.
Well, Piers Morgan was on TalkSport this morning, bigging up their chances of winning a quadruple. He's done that pretty much every season for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a nail in the coffin already then, isn't it? So,
that was Chris Wood from Ladbrokes said that, Piers, if you're listening. Thank you very much. Chris, thank you. That was a look at the latest odds with Ladbrokes, 18+, gambleaware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18+, gambleaware.org.
I want to mention last night's game, Arsenal beating Chelsea by a goal to nil, going through 4-2 on aggregate, and whether Newcastle look at that and approach the game differently. First up, though, I want to talk about Liam Rosenior. His approach to the game, I think we should discuss, and the tactics that he employed, plus the fact that he has had a little bit of a go at pundits, and he used to be one, saying that punditry is easy. So you're a pundit, Stuart Pearce. Is it easy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you just turn up and say what you want and go home, really. Maybe a little bit of a defensive bounce there from him, you know what I mean? But, listen, he set the team up yesterday. They're in the game. It's an odd goal,
A 3-2 down,
that they're chasing. The bottom line is, you've got to stay in the game. It's a different dynamic to this one that we're setting a picture to at the moment. So he knows full well, if we stay in the game, and his team stayed in the game until the 97th minute, But I think they've just come up over two legs against the side that are just imperious at the moment. They're incredible.
Well, I think they were the better side, Arsenal. They are a better side. I think everybody would agree with that. But there was an accusation, say, from Paul Merson as a pundit, who is a Chelsea fan, actually, and he was having a right go, saying that he couldn't believe the performance, couldn't believe the approach, said they should have had more of a go. And there has been another accusation, Sam, that Chelsea went for a draw when they needed a win and ended up losing.
Well, they didn't go for a draw. That's just an absurd accusation, because clearly they knew that if they drew the game, they would be out. So they needed to get a goal, and they tried to manage the game so that they could stick in it as long as possible in order to get that goal. If you allow Arsenal to come at you and you open up against Arsenal, they're one of the best attacking teams in Europe. They're going to rip you apart. Chelsea aren't as good as Arsenal. That is a fact. They're nowhere near as good as Arsenal yet. They're not as mature as Arsenal. They're not as experienced as Arsenal. They're not as good as Arsenal. They were missing Pedro Neto. They were missing Reece James last night. Cole Palmer didn't start the game because he's not 100% fit. So they weren't at their very, very best. Obviously, their defence has been a problem anyway, but actually looked quite resolute last night because of the approach that he took. I was reading his quote, actually, and he didn't quite say that being a pundit was easy. What he said was, I've been a pundit, and it's easy in hindsight. If I go and attack the game, press really high, and we concede 2 goals early, everyone says, what's he doing there? The reality of my job is if you lose games, you'll be criticised. If you win, you're a genius. It's normally somewhere in between. I thought last night they gave themselves a chance, but at the end of the day, Arsenal were always going to go through.
I think as well, Wade, let's cut Liam a little bit of slack here. He's been, he's managed, so he's not a rookie manager. But at this level, at this profile, he's finding his feet. you know what I mean, and trying to impress a dressing room and one thing and another. So it's not easy for him.
I think he's wrong with what he said there, by the way, about, you know, if you win, you're a genius. If you lose, you're going to get criticised. Because they won at Brentford, and he was criticised because they didn't play particularly well. No, at Brentford.
But your overall view of him is that he, before last night, is that he won 6 out of 7 games. So I think, you know, if you're winning matches like that, you are insulated a little bit, and the feeling has changed because of the fact that actually they were rubbish in the first half against West Ham, but they came back and won the game in the second half. They gave Napoli chances in the match in Italy, but they won in the second half and got over the line. So getting over the line does give you a little bit of insulation. It's not going to always get... Listen, Thomas Frank knows that even if you win games, you can get criticised. Everybody can. But I do think that Chelsea have been better since he's been in charge. I think they lack firepower. You know, they don't have firepower. João Pedro is probably their most prolific goal scorer, and he's not really an out-and-out centre-forward. And their most productive player is Enzo Fernandez, and half the time he's playing in a deeper line midfield role because Cole Palmer's playing in the 10. So, you know, I just don't think they have those sort of weapons. Their main striker, number 9, has scored 2 goals all season.
I mean, he was put on the right wing last night, and at the game I'm watching it thinking this isn't doing him any good, it's not doing Chelsea any good, and I couldn't see a reason why Liam Delap was on the right wing. I couldn't work that one out. Maybe it's something that, and you're right, we have to cut Liam Rosenior some slack because he's early in the job, he's trying different things. They're 3-2 down away at Arsenal where they're expected to lose, where Arsenal should win the game. He's trying something different to try and get through that tie, and it was 0-0 for 96 odd minutes. So maybe you're right, we just have to cut him some slack.
What are we saying if Enzo Fernandez puts one of those in the top corner and they win the game 1-0 and it goes to extra time?
Well, somewhere between both narratives is probably where the truth lies in most football matches and in most people's opinion somewhere, you know. And I've got one foot in the coaching camp that says, you know, he's, what do you say, he's 8 games in now as a manager, 7 games in. It's
8 games
at
in,
this level, at this intensity, knowing full well that, you know, he's got so much scrutiny on him, and people, half the public are probably looking for him to fail, you know what I mean? So there's a story there, so it's tough on him.
I do think as well, how many times do we sit here and bemoan the fact that we haven't got enough English coaches in top jobs? We've got Michael Carrick at Manchester United. The first thing everyone said was, well, how has he got that job? He'll never be there permanently. He's won 3 out of 3, by the way. And then the same with Liam. Liam's getting all sorts. Now, maybe he brings some of it on himself because he said some silly things sometimes. But ultimately, we've got 2 English guys in charge of 2 of the biggest English clubs in this country. We should be celebrating that, shouldn't we?
Absolutely, I agree with that totally. And I've said since he got the job that Liam Rosenior shouldn't be judged on his clothes or even some of the things he says, his, you know, managerialisms, as I call it. He shouldn't be judged on those things. He should be judged on the football. And that's what I'm trying to look at, what their approach was last night. How the punditry thing actually really wound me up in a way that it shouldn't. Because a lot of ex-footballers come into this game of punditry and think it's easy. And it isn't. And we can tell, Sam, you and I can tell the ones who are right at it and know what they're doing from those that come into it thinking it's easy. Some people don't need notes, they don't need research, they've got it all off their head, but they know how, like Stuart can just relay it to an audience so easily, so simply, and it makes total sense. Others think it's easy, but literally haven't got a clue how to do it. It actually just wound me up that he thinks, oh, that's easy, isn't it? And it isn't, mate. And that's probably why you're not in punditry anymore.
He didn't say that. He said it's easy in hindsight. That's what he was saying. He was saying it's easy to assess, you know, to say that I should have done this in hindsight.
That's what punditry is. It's always in hindsight.
That was the point he was trying to get across. I don't think he was trying to say that the job itself was easy. Although he probably found it easy.
I think the good pundits can do it and preempt it, if I'm being honest with you, or at least paint a picture of what it might look like, or certainly after the first 5 or 10 minutes, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to give you an example. We went to the World Cup, we watched Spain win 5-0. I said, this team got absolutely no chance of winning it.
You got ruined for that comment.
Yeah, you looked at me and said you're having a laugh, and they beat Costa Rica or someone 5-0 in one of the qualifying games. I said they got absolutely no chance of winning it. They're too loose, they're too this, they're too that. He's looking at me as I'm an idiot. I said, don't trust me, I'm a top pundit. All of a sudden, in the quarter final, they tailed off and went out the competition.
Yeah, they did. They went out without a fight, really.
All the signs were there when they win 5-0.
And when they went out, I thought, you know what, Stuart was right. What a top pundit he is.
That really irritated you.
It really irritated me.
What irritated you more, Stuart getting that right or Liam saying it was easy to be a pundit?
Well, what irritated me more was Stuart winning Mastermind, because it's even more annoying. But there you go. And listen, this is why we've got you at TalkSport, mate. This is why you're our man at the semi-finals and finals, and the England man as well. Top pundit.
The punditry is tough. It's a tough world out there.
Mastermind is easy.
You're listening to Kick-Off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes 18+, gambleaware.org. This is Carabao Cup, the EFL Cup semi-final tonight. Some breaking news as well this evening from the EFL Trophy, the Virtue Trophy for League One and 2 clubs and Premier League under-21 sides. Swindon have been kicked out for fielding 2 ineligible players in their win at Luton, so Luton will progress. Anyone who heard the Swindon manager Ian Holloway raging against the football authorities at the weekend will wonder if he's about to spontaneously combust over this particular issue. EFL games coming up live on TalkSport 2, Charlton QPR, London Derby Friday night. 7th against 4th, Derby Ipswich Saturday lunchtime. Leaders on goal difference only now. Coventry against bottom 3 Oxford Saturday afternoon. And Monday night Sheffield United against second place Middlesbrough. All of those live on TalkSport 2.
Kick off on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
Jack is in construction, totally unaware.
Unaware of what?
He could be paying too much tax. Jack's forever shelling out his own cash to travel between sites or buying tools.
Yeah?
So he may be owed money by HMRC. Rift Tax Refunds helps people get the money back. On average, over £3,000 back. Get the ball rolling. Search Rift Tax Refunds. Search Rift Tax Refunds today.
It might be cold outside, but things are really warming up at the Wren Winter Sale, with red-hot prices on our high-quality, fully built kitchens and fitted bedrooms. Right now, there's up to 60% off fully built kitchens and all bedroom units, plus up to 7 years interest-free credit. Made for making you feel warm inside, whatever the weather. Wren, made for living. Visit your nearest Wren showroom. Offers apply when you buy 5 or more kitchen units or 3 or more bedroom units. Finance subject to status and minimum spend.
Yorkshire Tea, where everything's done proper. Yorkshire Tea, brew strength made at your own discretion. Boiled water not included. Or mugs. Milk in second, always. For exceptions visit, no chance. Not ever, ever. Best stir clockwise, except on Tuesdays. Can accept no responsibility for squeezed tea bags left on countertop. Refer to box for details. Best stirred with a spoon, not your finger. May be enjoyed outside Yorkshire. Sheep on front of box not included. Norrie Small Cottage, Norrie Sky. We don't know what the cricket score was. For best results, drink. May contain hot liquid. Whew. Blimey.
It's hard to find the perfect words on Valentine's Day, but M&S has your back. You can say, I heart you with a pistachio-filled chocolate heart. Or you make me all gooey inside with some melt-in-the-middle collection chocolate truffles. And if that's all a bit too subtle, there's the chocolate-coated strawberries and raspberries with I love you very much written on the box. Get it? This is not just food. This is M&S Valentine's food. Selected stores.
With LV, I can get my car insurance from just £299. Just the price I'm after right now. And if I'm hit by an uninsured driver, I won't lose my no-claim discount, because insurance is simple when it's me and LV.
No wonder we're rated excellent on Trustpilot. Get your quote today at lv.com. 10% of new customers paid £299 or less July to December 2025. Uninsured driver promise is non-fault accident only. Other vehicle and driver details required. LV General Insurance is part of Allianz.
The Arnold Clark Reel sale is ending soon. That means it's your last chance to save in the UK's biggest used car sale. With only a few days left to shop, now's the time to find your next car. It only happens once a year, and it must end very soon. Visit arnoldclark.com to see why it's the biggest used car sale in the UK.
Whatever kind of football fan you are, TalkSport and the Coral Daily Download are here for it to celebrate the fans every day. Whether you're a front row seater or a prawn sandwich eater, a half-and-half scarf wearer or a lifelong faithful torchbearer, a retro shirt for every game or bare-chested, even in the rain. For all the latest news, reaction and odds this season, don't miss the Coral Daily Download. Every morning from 6 on TalkSport with Coral. We're here for the fans. 18+ gambleaware.org.
professional-grade sealant with high mold resistance, easy tooling and minimal shrinkage. Choose Bostik Pro Sealants.
Good evening. With your headlines, I'm Uma Gurav. We understand reports that Daniel Levy is close to selling his 30% share in Spurs for £1 billion are premature. Chelsea and West Ham have been charged by the FA for failing to behave in a proper way during their clash at the weekend. There's some concern that ITV could introduce adverts during play in World Cup games this summer. That's because they're bringing that in for the Six Nations. And Deontay Wilder has stormed out the TalkSport boxing studio after our very own Simon Jordan asked him about Tyson Fury. Head to our boxing YouTube channel to see that later tonight.
The stars come out to talk on TalkSport and TalkSport 2.
Please welcome Rob Bright on TalkSport station. I'm always surprised at how much I enjoy it. And I go, this is great, isn't it? Look, he's got to sort out his back, isn't he? He's got to sort out the back row.
Massive names.
It's the superstar that is Usain Bolt.
When you score against a great keeper, it feels good.
Blue chip, gilt-edged, AAA rated opinions.
None other than Ronnie O'Sullivan, who is here in the studio with us.
When you read stuff back, did I really say that?
Massive games, massive names on TalkSport and TalkSport 2.
Well, a week ago tonight, a late goal from the Benfica goalkeeper against Real Madrid helped keep Man City in the top 8 of the Champions League stage, while Newcastle were drawing away to the European champions. It meant a playoff against Karabakh for Newcastle to get through to the round of 16 in the Champions League. City, Newcastle tonight, live on TalkSport. Time now to look at the latest football action with Ladbrokes.
The big preview on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Well, players are warming up, so let's remind you of the teams. Here's your commentator, Sam Matface.
No team has ever done it, not in the 66 years of this competition. Aston Villa came the closest in 1994, overturning a 3-1 first leg deficit to beat Tranmere on aggregate, but they lost away, not at home. Newcastle lost 2-0 at St James's Park back on January the 13th, and to ensure Manchester City get safe passage to Wembley, they've made 6 changes tonight. James Trafford plays in goal, Matt Nunez plays at right back, it's Kusanov, Ake and Aït-Nouri making up the back 4. Nico Gonzalez and Nico O'Reilly will anchor the midfield, with Tiani Reinders and Foden supporting Omar Marmoush and Antoine Semenyo in attack. Haaland and Cherki only on the bench tonight, so is Rodri. As far as Newcastle are concerned, 3 changes from the defeat away at Liverpool. Ramsdale is the goalkeeper. It's a return to a back 3. Chow, Botman and Byrne. Then it's Trippier and Hall as the wing backs. Willock, Tonali and Ramsey in midfield, with Gordon supporting Voltemada in attack.
Sam, thank you. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
The big preview on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Well, Pep Guardiola's pre-match press conference took an unexpected turn yesterday. He spoke out against genocide and global injustice.
It's about the human being. After we can agree, we can criticize one thing or opposition another thing, but everyone is right, you know, when everything is have an idea, you have to express it. But when people is dying, you know, you have to help him. The human being or the human being be alive or protect the life is the only thing that we have. And now it's not happening, but not just in this part of the world, in every branch of the world. And what's happened right now, still right now, with all technologies, all the advances that we have, the humanity is better than ever in terms of possibilities. We can reach the moon, we can do everything. But still right now, we kill each other for what? For what?
Well, it was deeply moving, actually, to hear him speak so passionately about subjects so important in the world today. He wasn't talking politics, really. He wasn't taking one side or the other. He was stressing the importance of protecting human life. It's clearly a subject that moves him, grips his heart, stirs his passions, and understandably, because it's so much more important than football, it made me wonder about his football passion. Where does football sit in Pep's priorities? And while football is the most important of the least important things in life, if Pep's head and heart aren't as into it as they used to be, that would explain why there is a very real concern around here that Pep will not see out the last year of his contract, which runs out next year. Stuart Pearce, are we looking at Pep doing a Southgate, steering away from football altogether? Maybe Pep moving into humanitarian work and away from the game. Is that what we're looking at here?
Well, it's always struck me that he's had a kind heart as a man, that is for sure. And I think those words, I think all of us sit there and watch the news come in at night and cannot believe what goes on in front of our own eyes. Incredible. But I could see him being a fantastic ambassador for anything that he wanted to do in that respect, because he's a caring man. Whether that you can't do one without the other, if you like, if he were to devote time to something else away from football, I think he'd be brilliant at it. I think he would grab hold of it like he does football management, with the intensity that he shows every day as a football manager. He's been certainly one of the best there's ever been in world management, for sure. If he walks away, it's going to be a tough day for this football club when he does. I know that for sure.
Yeah, the feeling amongst the Manchester press pack is he's being a lot more chatty, he's more relaxed, he's almost speaking with a lot more freedom than he has done in the past. He's quite happy to sort of, elucidate on subjects that maybe probably wouldn't have touched on a year ago or 2 years ago. I think the feeling is that he's been a little bit more cuddly. He's addressing people by name. He's being more sort of, personable in those exchanges that they have on a weekly basis. And I think that they get the sense that maybe it's about to come to an end. If it does, there are quite a lot of rumours about them already constructing a list to replace him with the likes of Xabi Alonso, who I think many people thought is a shoe-in for Liverpool, but actually probably makes more sense for a team like Manchester City. He's very big on instruction, and these players will be used to that with Pep Guardiola. And Maresca obviously was the assistant here. And the other one that's come up over the last few days is Cesc Fabregas, who is doing a good job at Como and is only expected to leave that job if he gets one of the big jobs in European football. So there's certainly the thought around the place that it's a possibility. I must admit, when he signed a new contract, I didn't expect him to stay to 2027. I felt last year that he was on the verge of leaving, and we know he had conversations with the FA about taking the England job. So he's obviously started to think about what he's going to do next.
Yeah, I find it fascinating, this subject, because I always thought he would be somebody who would see out his contract, but the closer it comes, the more I'm thinking that's not going to happen. And in that sense, if it is to end this summer, and maybe the players even know that, or they're sensing that as well, Stuart, might that explain the fall-off in results and performances for Manchester City?
I'm not so sure it would. I think it's a natural progression. You cannot stay at the top of your game year after year after year after year. The achievement of 4 years on the bounce is absolutely incredible, I mean, over my generation, we've had Liverpool sides that have been brilliant. We've had Man United sides that are brilliant. A Man City side that have been brilliant. The Invincibles of Arsenal. But they've not won the Premier League 10 years running, have they? And it's cycles that it goes in, and the retirement of people like De Bruyne and people like that, cycles of your real world classes, hurt you a little bit. And the better you do as an individual and as a club, the more it focuses the lot across town. Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, they all want your crown.
What he has done, if he is going to leave, is definitely contributed to a rebuilding job, which means he hands it over in a brilliant position. There's a lot of players that he's brought in over the last 2-3 transfer windows that are not necessarily established stars right now, but they certainly believe are going to be in the future. And I'm looking at one of them now, just whacked the post in Abdul Kadir Kusanov, who has struggled a little bit. He's still young, he's only 21 years of age. I don't think he would have been in the firing line as much as he has been if it hadn't been for the injuries. But they believe he's going to be a very, very good defender. And if you look at his speed across the ground, you can see why.
And you talk about carrying on what the legacy of the football club. If you go back to 2012, people were saying United were very fortunate to win the league, and there wasn't a great deal there to inherit in some ways, and it's subsequently looked like that, Sam, hasn't it? On the grounds, they haven't won the league since.
And I think as well, the fact that they're not going to win the league this year, and we don't think they are going to win the league, Arsenal are going to be the champions, I personally don't think that will bother Pep. Like Sir Alex, we all felt that he had to stay, sign Van Persie, win the league and then go. I don't think Pep will be too bothered because he will feel that his body of work here over the 10 years stands up for itself.
He's done all right, hasn't he?
He's done okay, yeah. Just won Champions League, though. I'm joking, right? If it's in a treble season, that in itself is a remarkable feat. I think how much will the Premier League miss him and his ways, Stuart, do you think?
I think whenever you get a front-line, top, world-class manager leave, it saddens me, whether they be Brian Clough, Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, Jurgen Klopp, and especially this fella, you know what I mean, who's been could argue might be top of the tree, you know, who knows. I think we lose something and it diminishes the Premier League slightly.
I know that City fans are a little bit fearful of life after Pep. We don't know it for sure yet, but could it be the end for Pep Guardiola at Manchester City this summer? We shall see. You're listening to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes 18+, gambleaware.org. 15 minutes till we get underway live on TalkSport tonight as Manchester City, 2 up from the first leg, take on Newcastle in the Carabao Cup semi-final.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes, 18+, gambleaware.org.
Buy with Ritchie Brothers and make 2026 your strongest year yet with the equipment you need when you need it. Register now for our next auction on the 11th and 12th of February with a full catalogue of high-quality machinery, including excavators, telehandlers, dozers, dumpers and more. Get your gear for the year right here, and all at a fantastic price. Register for the next Ritchie Brothers auction on the 11th and 12th of February now at rbauction.co.uk.
The all-electric Ford E-Transit Custom, loaded with doing power. And now, you could win one. Take a test drive in any Transit Custom to enter and be in with a chance of winning a Ford E-Transit Custom. Search Win a Ford E-Transit Custom and book online. To enter, take a test drive between the 1st of January and the 28th of February. Ready, set, Ford. T's and C's apply. 25 plus only. For details, see Ford.co.uk.
The moment they walk down the aisle, you want to see it all and feel ready. Our advanced eye test checks both your eyesight and eye health, so you feel confident in life's important moments. It includes a UV protection and dry eye assessment, plus an OCT scan for early detection of conditions like glaucoma. Book your advanced eye test today. Vision Express. Step out with confidence. T&Cs apply. Upgrade your free NHS PRSI medical card eye test for a nominal fee.
Sally, what was that site called?
That prize guy.
That Wise Guy? No, what's a Fugazi? No, Sally, the site with the prizes.
That prize guy.
That Pies Guy? No, Sally, not meat and potato, the cars, 250 grand cash.
That prize guy.
That Thighs Guy? What's that? Sally? To win cars, tech and cash for as little as 2p per entry, just search That Prize Guy online. It's easy really, the hardest part is remembering the name. Over 18 only, no purchase necessary. See website for details.
When you switch the family's unlimited plans to Vodafone, you save. So while Nan's learning to voice note,
Can you hear this? Is this on?
you're saving. While your daughter's setting a new high score on her favourite game.
Get in!
You're saving. While your son's video calling his crush for 3 hours.
I love you, Mom.
You're saving. Save more when you switch your family's plans to Vodafone with Vodafone Together. Eligible plans from the 30th of October. Credit check and terms apply.
With LV, I can get my car insurance from just £299. Just the price I'm after right now. And if I'm hit by an uninsured driver, I won't lose my no-claim discount because insurance is simple when it's me and LV.
No wonder we're rated excellent on Trustpilot. Get your quote today at lv.com. 10% of new customers paid £299 or less July to December 2025. Uninsured driver promise is non-fault accident only. Other vehicle and driver details required. LV General Insurance is part of Allianz.
Bring your pensions together into one easy-to-manage online plan with PensionBee. Because when your pension is in a good place, you're in a good place. When investing, your capital is at risk.
Whatever kind of football fan you are, TalkSport and the Coral Daily Download are here for it to celebrate the fans every day. Whether you're a front row seater or a prawn sandwich eater, a half-and-half scarf wearer or a lifelong faithful torchbearer, a retro shirt for every game or bare-chested, even in the rain. For all the latest news, reaction and odds this season, don't miss the Coral Daily Download. Every morning from 6 on TalkSport with Coral. We're here for the fans. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Established and excellent evening star of football. Kick-off live on TalkSport.
More evidence to
suggest that Newcastle are never quite as good away from home in the Premier League as they are at St James's Park. It's Liverpool 4, Newcastle 1.
PSR are constraints that limit what we can do.
Every decision we make has a long-term implication, so there's no guarantee even signing someone with the funds that we had available would help us short-term anyway. It is what it is. We've been used to sort of working in these conditions now for a while. We have to be really, really smart, and we've decided to wait till the summer.
This is a club that by 2030 will be consistently contending for the top prizes in global football.
Tonali, the edge of the area, drives it in, and via a deflection, Newcastle take the lead.
He's always going to be attracting, or our best players will always be attracting glances from other clubs. That's just the reality of football. We want to keep the group together. We want to keep being progressive. And of course, Sandro plays a part in that.
Interesting times for Newcastle financially. Arsenal without Marino for the rest of the season. Odegaard out injured at the moment as well, and Ethan Nwaneri on loan and no recall at Marseille. So the Gunners were linked with arguably Newcastle's best player, Sandro Tonali. Eddie Howe also said this week that they had no intention of letting him leave. Now you heard there the voice of the CEO at Newcastle, David Hopkinson, saying that they intend to be challenging for Premier League, Champions League within the next 5 years. I know Newcastle fans who work on TalkSport's YouTube Newcastle United fans programme that are absolutely fuming with that, because they just cannot see it. They cannot agree with that, bearing in mind the Newcastle financial situation, that I don't think they've spent anything in the last 3 January transfer windows. It's not realistic, is it? Next 5 years, Stuart, for Newcastle United to be challenging for Premier League and Champions League.
I think it's a big ask, I really do. The financial situation and not being able to bring players in that are really going to make the difference. Interesting to listen to Eddie. And there's a clamour by supporters to want to sign players, no matter who they are almost, as long as we're signing somebody. And I've always been very pragmatic as a manager and thought, unless they can get into my first team and improve us, don't bother. Save your money. Keep your money to another window when you can really invest in somebody that you think's going to wow the fans and wow yourself.
What a brilliant interview it was, though, on White and Jordan this morning with CEO David Hopkinson, because it gave us a little bit of a window into different things. You know, he did say what you've quoted there, but he also said, but we've got a lot of wood to chop between now and then. And I think he was asked us about PSR or SCR as it's going to be, or FSR, whatever it is. The rules that stop you from spending, basically. And they are in a very different position to Arsenal, to Manchester United, to Chelsea, to Manchester City, to Liverpool, to Tottenham. After listening to David earlier, I looked at the revenues that these clubs bring in. Newcastle's match day revenue is 77 million quid. Manchester United is 156 million quid. Arsenal's 153. Manchester City's commercial revenue is £400 million. Newcastle's is less than £100 million. So that makes that every decision they make in the transfer market has to be a success. They can't afford to make a mistake. Every purchase now that is going to take Newcastle forward is going to be a huge one. So therefore, if they make it, it has to land.
And I think that I was talking to Alan Pardew about this. He was on our commentary. He was a pundit, very good pundit as well, for the Arsenal-Chelsea game last night on TalkSport. And he actually said that when he was manager there, and it was under the Mike Ashley regime, the local money they could bring in was limited, because there aren't the companies that are prepared to part with the money in that part of the world. There's a limited amount of corporate space at Newcastle United's ground as well. So there are restrictions within the club, never mind restrictions imposed on them from outside.
That is the case, but when you get ownerships that are prepared, probably, I've got half a mentality. I want to see football clubs being sustainable. I don't want to see clubs overstretching and boom and bust. I definitely do not want that. The footballing man in me suggests that. But there is part of me thinks that, why are you constraining football clubs that have got ownerships that it's a drop in the ocean what they could invest into a football club? I think somewhere down the line there's a compromise, and that compromise for me is a sort of a bond put somewhere that safeguards the future, that's held outside maybe the owners and held by the league. I don't know.
By the Premier League, yeah.
Why would Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool and Tottenham try and ensure that there was rules to stop everybody from spending more than they earn? I mean, why would they do that? Look, the fact is that there are ways of extending the revenue, and he talked about this on the show this morning. He said, look, of course it's a challenge for us to break into that top six. Of course it is, because clearly the rules are stacked against us, but it's our job to find a way to crack that code and do it. And he talked about digital revenue. The digital revenue is just not there at Newcastle United. He compared it, look at Real Madrid and the way they operate. He said there's 40 staff that tweet and Instagram and TikTok in 7 different languages and make sure that they time release it all around the world to hit different markets. All that's sponsored, and that brings in massive revenue. They don't do that in Newcastle because they don't have the global fan base to do it, but they've got to grow that somehow. How they're going to do that by 2030, I don't know. But
so how do we view that from Eddie Howe? Because when he said those words, I've got to choose my words carefully, when talking about the financial restrictions and not, signing players in January, even though they've got some injuries, significant injuries as well. When he said, I've got to choose my words carefully, I don't think he's having a pop at his own ownership. I think he's just talking about the fact that there are restrictions on the football club. Is he likely? Yeah, he's in a great position, and he's at a very big football club, and he's doing very well at that football club, relatively speaking. He's won them a trophy. His legacy there is intact, whatever happens. But might he be getting frustrated as an individual, Stuart?
I would say yes. I think, like all managers, I think he's created something at Newcastle and put them at a level. At the moment, I would say they're underachieving from the level that he himself has set at the football club, and he'll be frustrated that, he wants to go on. He wants that when someone picks a phone up and says, we want Isak will turn around and say, no chance, I want to stay here. This place is going somewhere. I don't want to go anywhere, and doesn't have to deal with the fallout that we saw last summer, which is a real irritation to any manager.
Yeah, and he was affected by that, and I've known him for a very long time, as you know. I will also say this though, he is very cautious about who he brings into the group, and he's working. In the summer this year they had the Isak distraction, but also they had no sporting director, so a lot of the recruitment fell on his shoulders and his team. Whereas Ross Wilson has come in from Nottingham Forest now, very established sporting director, and I think that will help him going forward. They did have a few irons in the fire in the January transfer window. They almost got one of them over the line, didn't quite work, but they are saving themselves for the summer, where they think they'll get longer term targets, as Stuart said, that could enhance the first team. Yeah,
it was just going to be young players for the future had they signed anybody in January. Didn't happen. A big banner away to our right, a Manchester City banner has been unfurled as the players are set to make their way out onto the pitch. Officials first, and then the players will follow. Leeds Forest, Premier League, Friday night, live and exclusive and only on TalkSport. What a huge game that is in the wrong half of the table. Man United Spurs, always a big one. Saturday lunchtime, live and exclusive on TalkSport. Michael Carrick with that 100% record. Game day live around the ground Saturday afternoon from a big one down at the bottom. Burnley against West Ham, and game day live Sunday afternoon covering Brighton Palace and Liverpool against Man City, and the Scottish Cup 5th round, as well as the WSL 1:30 Sunday afternoon with Sam on TalkSport. Tonight Arsenal need someone to play with at Wembley. Manchester City 2 up against Newcastle, second leg live on TalkSport with double League Cup winning captain Stuart Pearce alongside your commentator Sam Matface.
Yeah, good evening everyone. Welcome to the Etihad Stadium in Manchester, where Manchester City stand on the edge of a 9th League Cup final
leg. Let's take you through the team news. We'll start with Semenyo and Foden either side of Mamouche, although I think it'll be a little bit more free-form than a 4-3-3. For Newcastle, it's a 3-4-3. Ramsdale in goal, Chow, Botman and Byrne the back three, Trippier and Hall either side of Ramsey and Tonali holding midfield, Voltemade leading the line, supported by Willock and Gordon. So the two teams doing final handshakes and final conversations ahead of this one. City simply avoiding defeat tonight to go through against an inconsistent Newcastle side. It'll be their first League Cup final in 5 years. It struck a blow to their title charge, although now just 90 minutes stand in the way between them and the Carabao Cup final. They won it for a fourth successive year in 2021. A 2-0 win in the first leg means City are heavy favourites, though, to eliminate the current holders for the third time across their last 3 ties against such teams. Pep Guardiola's men progressed from each of their last 6 semi-final appearances. Geddes underway, the ball played back to Botman, hits it down the left-hand side, headed in play by Hall. I think most of the footballing world are in agreement with you there, Dylan, apart from Sunderland. So, the throw-in is taken. It's turned back to the goalkeeper, who plays it out to the edge of his box for O'Reilly. Turns and plays the ball down the middle. It's Nico, out to the left-hand side, where he'll find Mamouche, who's peeled off left. Gets to the edge of the box, cuts behind his man, goes for the shot. It's blocked at source by Botman. City still on possession on the far side. Passing it slowly now. Here's O'Reilly again. Arsenal just happy to pass it around and play safe possession and run the clock down. Does now play it short. Ait Nouri plays it back to Kusanov. Takes the touch past Gordon. Drops it short. Here's Foden. Dinks the ball out nicely to chip it to the far side. Touchdown by Ait Nouri. Played short to O'Reilly. Forward and flicked on by Mamouche. Nobody getting there. Tonali will pick up the loose ball. Plays it forward to Gordon. Now here's Voltemade. Can't get possession, not being kept by either side at the moment. City now on the ball. Here's Nunes. Nice touch down the right hand side. Leaves the ball for Semenyo. Turns it back. Line. Now releases it on the left hand side for Ait Nouri. It's a 1-2. Forward into the centre circle. Nico Gonzalez turns around his man, lays the ball off for Mamouche. Can't get the ball through the defence. He's lost out. Newcastle clear their lines. 3 minutes. O'Reilly takes the touch, plays it forward. It's a nice one-touch layoff to the left-hand side. It's difficult to work out who is who at the minute for City, because there's absolutely no one sticking to their position. At the minute, we've got Semenyo leading the line. Trip there on Gordon, an advantage given. The long ball forward sees possession given away by Hall, so it's brought back for the Newcastle free kick. After only a 70-year wait for major silverware, Newcastle's chances of successfully defending their trophy look slim, defeating the first. May well exacerbate those issues after losing 4-1, having scored first at Liverpool on Saturday. Newcastle have won just 2 domestic away games since the start of October. Eddie Howe's men have managed just 1 clean sheet across their last 12 competitive trips. Here's Hall, who's trying to go down the left-hand side. He's not got very far. And Semenyo stops him in his tracks and puts the ball out for a throw in to Newcastle. Sven Botman taken quickly by Foden. There by Kieran Trippier. He's managed to get it back into defence, and it's now played back to Trafford in goal. 5 minutes gone. City leading 2-0 on aggregate. Goalless.
Have a 3-goal cushion, and it's Mamouche with the goal. It was down the left-hand side. It was simple for Man City just to play it in behind. It found Mamouche on the corner of the area as he's got himself through to the goal. He's come back off the keeper, back onto the striker, and into the back of the net. And a rather fortuitous goal for Manchester City, but they won't care nonetheless. It's a perfect start for them. It was a wonderful flick around the corner from Mamouche in towards Gonzalez in the middle, returned it back to him down the left-hand side. Mamouche picked it up, drove in towards the box, and as he tried to lift it over the Newcastle keeper, he's come back off the Newcastle man in towards the shin of Mamouche, and it's bounced over the top of Ramsdale in the goal, and it's the perfect start to the night. It's Man City 1, Newcastle 0, and that is the cushion that they will have wanted. Not the cushion a neutral would have wanted listening this evening, or what Newcastle fans would have wanted either. But for Man City, that is the perfect start. They've dominated the game in the opening 8 minutes. Newcastle haven't been able to get a hold of the ball at all, and they've just pounced on the first opportunity away to the right-hand side. And that has killed a lot of hope inside the first 10 minutes of this game. And it's Mamouche with the goal. And he did get lucky. The Newcastle man who came across did everything right to try and put Mamouche off. But in doing so, it came back off the number 7. And Mamouche scored in the 4th round against Swansea. He's got 4 in 3 now against Newcastle, including that hat-trick back in February last year in that 4-0 win as Newcastle has tried to get themselves through on goal, but it's just thwarted out on this near left-hand side by James Trafford, who scrambled across really, really well. It's a beautiful ball across the box, looking for Joe Willett coming in at the far post from Walter Marder. He took one touch, but out came Trafford. He might have been on the bench this season for a good portion of it for Man City, but he wasn't showing any lack of awareness and speed off his line there as he comes across to thwart the danger as Willett tried to get Newcastle back into this tie straight away. But as it remains, it's 1-0 to Man City inside 10 minutes. Dan Burn just puts it out on this near side for a throw into City, who sit second in the Premier League. As it stands, it's going to be a top 2 in the Premier League going against each other in the final. Can Arsenal win a treble this season? They do, even more than the favourites. Every competition they're in at the moment, Arsenal. And a betting man wouldn't bet too much against them. It's a poor pass back that almost allows Semenyo in. Just manages to get a block in and forces Newcastle back level with the edge of their own area, but good awareness from Semenyo. It was a loose pass from Hall going back towards Dan Burn, and Semenyo just tried to
cut out the danger. He got himself ahead of the man, but just couldn't quite snuff it out. Man City, they've got to this point. They beat Huddersfield in the first round by 2-0. Swansea in the next by 3-1. Then Brentford by 2-0. Long ball over the top, looking for Gordon, just overhit. And a lovely little chest back towards Trafford in the goal by Kushanov. Been rather quiet, the 21-year-old Uzbeki international. Joined from Lens last January in his second year now with the club. On this near side is Philly Cheese Phil Foden. Just loses the ball out towards Dan Burn, who goes with a sliding tackle, but just overhits it a touch in towards Gonzalez. Has space to find the pass in towards the middle, and now the legs can be stretched over on the left-hand side from Reinders. Has the support from Gonzalez once again. Pulls it back in towards the corner. Tries to feed it in towards the edge of the area. Goes for goal, and it's a whisker wide over the right-hand post, but it's good work once again, this time from Reinders down the left-hand side. It's just simple football from Man City to work it from right to left. They're just holding it on the corner of the area, just waiting for Newcastle to push themselves further up to the pitch. Then the runners go in behind, and on that occasion Reinders just tried to then come across the goal towards Ramsdale's left, and I think the goalkeeper's got a slight touch on that the referee hasn't seen, and it's gone all the way across the goal line and out for a throw on the near side, and Newcastle come away with the ball on this near side with Hall. Frantic last couple of moments in this game. It's a lovely ball spread towards the right hand side, but snuffed out really well from the sky by Ant Nori. He was looking the wrong way, just brought it down over his shoulder there, the former Wolves man, as two Man City players just collide into each other in the middle of the park. It's entertaining here at the Etihad as two sides know what they need to do now. Man City will be quite happy to even let Newcastle have hold of the ball for the majority of the game now, because they know how good they can be defensively when they're on the ball, Man City, but we also know how lackadaisical they can be when they're not, and it showed it against Tottenham at the weekend. Joe Willett tries to find the pass in behind towards Walter Mada, just held off his run, so he's got to come back towards the centre circle with Tonal. Normally a lot more involved in the early the ball. Eddie Howe stands and watches from the sideline. The 48-year-old been in charge since 2021. Can they turn this around? They're really struggling to get the ball anywhere near the Man City box, and when they do get close, they've got to do better than pop shots from 25 yards as Semenyo wins a free kick right on this near touchline halfway inside the Newcastle half. He just felt the pressure in the back from Dan Burn from behind him. And goes down. City without a couple of key players this evening. No Vardiol because of his fractured tibia. Stones and Doku both out. Newcastle also without Bruno Guimaraes and Joel Linton. Sven Botman though returning to the side. Turning against PSG as here come Man City again down the left hand side. Opportunity opens itself up and it comes off a Newcastle man and over the top of the bar and out for a corner kick. But it's once again the freedom over on that left-hand side that's just allowing Man City to get forward. And it was Ait Nori who just had the freedom to roam down the left-hand side, racing towards the box. A block came in from Chiao late on, but Ait Nori just striding 60, 70 yards from his own half. And Newcastle only coming to stop him with 10 yards to go as he tried to look for the far corner, but there's three inside the 6-yard box, put towards the far side towards Aki, tried to get his header across, but it's blocked by Dan Burn. Still inside the area though for City towards the right hand side. It's Reinders who tries to open up the space. He's got support from Gonzalez. Decides to go towards the edge of the area towards Phil Foden, puts it onto his left, opens it up onto the right hand side to bring Gonzalez into play. Forced further back and now towards the left-hand side of the box. The cross comes in, down towards a penalty here. Foden with a strike, blocked, still in there for Semenyo. Back towards Foden, turns towards the edge of the area, pushed it to the right towards Reinders. Flicks around the corner towards Semenyo, across the box. It's dying to be put in, and he's been missed by everyone. The close is coming across. was Nico O'Reilly at the back post, but it's just great work from City. They're not giving up on it. Foden had the shot block, came back out towards Semenyo, laid it off towards Phil Foden. Nice little 1-2 in towards Gonzalez, back down towards Marmoush on the right-hand side. Saw Semenyo with the overlap, put it on a button between the edge of the defence and the goalkeeper in the 6-yard box, and it's just dying to be put in at the far post. The closest man coming in was Nico O'Reilly, who just couldn't quite stretch for it. But Manchester City, danger every time they come forward with the ball, and Newcastle need to be careful because they're already looking like they could be out of this. One more, and you'd think they certainly would be, as Trippier sends it down the right-hand side, looking for the run of Walter Marder. A little bit behind him, so he's just got to hold his run, the big fella, but it allows two City defenders to get back, and they'll win the ball. And it is Manchester City controlling this game inside the opening 19 minutes. They lead on the scoreboard by a goal to nil, 3-0 on aggregate, and they come again with the ball down the middle with Reinders, who goes for an effort, long range effort off a Newcastle man, and it just goes out for another corner kick. It was speculative at best from 35 yards, just picked up towards the corner, pulled back, opened up the space, and then the pop shot from the back just coming off. I think it was Botman off him, lasting out for a corner kick on this near side, but Man City getting the corner kicks. The last 11 games they've played here, Man City have won 37, or have scored to 37-3, as it's coming from the far side, punched out this time by Aaron Ramsdale towards the edge of the boxes. The Man City man goes down, Ait Nouri, but the referee happy to allow play on, and it'll go out for a Newcastle throw level with the edge of their own box over on the far side. But whenever they play these two sides, Newcastle haven't scored here at the Etihad in the last 9 games that they've played, and that run going back to 2018 as Semenyo opens his body up from the edge of the area, but he just drags it wide of the post, and it's living dangerously now for Newcastle as Man City sensing the opportunity to kill this game really early inside the second leg. The Newcastle fans have made the 3-hour, 145-mile journey down southwest towards Greater Manchester. They won't like what they've seen so far. They had a tough outing. The game against Liverpool, it's flicked on towards the near side, towards Gordon. Chance for pull one back, but a good save from Trafford from close range. Just stretched his left leg out to avoid Gordon getting in behind him. Scored at the weekend, Anti-Gordon, and playing in that middle striker role, but this time playing on the left-hand side of the three. Just tried to cut it back past Trafford the way the keeper was coming out, but he just couldn't quite get it past Trafford. And it goes out for a corner kick, but it's the best chance that Newcastle have had inside the opening 20 minutes. The corner from the near side. The runners all go towards the near post. Ball goes in towards the centre. It's flicked out comfortably towards the right-hand side. It's picked up, though, by Ramsey. Finds some support in the centre circle from Hall. No one towards the side of him, so has to go long towards Tonali, who beats his man and gets his head onto it, but the referee's given the advantage against Tonali for that shove on Nunez at the back, as the ball is still with the 23-year-old Englishman James Trafford in the goal to the left-hand side. As Man City try to play it out from the back, and it's almost won by Joe Willock right on the edge of the Manchester City area, and eventually it is just hooked long by O'Reilly, though picked up in the middle by Tonali halfway inside the City half. Crowded out, though, really well by 3. One of those again is O'Reilly, who just gets his ball foot forward looking for Marmoush. Bounces, though, in front of the Newcastle defenders, and they're just going to have to squirm it back towards the keeper. It's not the safest of options, and Botman's going to have to turn away and avoid going all the way back towards Ramsdale under pressure. Can only clear it halfway inside his own half as Phil Foden goes down under pressure in the centre of the pitch, but the referee happy with the tackle. Newcastle will then come away with the ball down the right-hand side, looking for the run of Anthony Gordon, but it's tackled really well by Gonzalez in the middle. Picked up, though, by Jacob Ramsey. in towards Tonali. Has to come back though in towards his own half just to try and open the space to find Dan Burn on this near side, but even better work from Phil Foden forces the ball all the way back towards Ramsdale in his own box towards the right hand side. Walter Marder though flicks it round the corner on the edge of the halfway line, tries to find Joe Willock, turns like a park bus, but eventually he managed to get around the cones that felt were in front of him, and his height pulled back on Lewis Hall by Nunez on this near side, gives Newcastle the free kick. Halfway gone inside the first half here at the Etihad, and it's Man City controlling the scoreline here, but Newcastle just trying to get themselves now back into this game and to swing the momentum a little bit. If they can get a goal inside the first half, you never know which way this may go. It's Joe Willock, pulls it back towards Dan Burn. In the halfway line is Sven Botman, the 26-year-old Dutchman who joined from Lille in 2022. He's had limited games this season because of injuries. Over on the right-hand side with Gordon, who tries to open it up, but he's got Ake and Kushanov for company and loses out on the far side. Gordon, as Man City will win the throw, and it's great defensive work at the back from Manchester City. And in the history of the EFL Cup, we've said how difficult it's going to be for Newcastle this evening, but teams that win the first leg of a semi-final away from home have progressed on 30 out of 32 times. And Newcastle fighting that statistical ghost that's haunted teams in this competition since 1987. Their last win here came back in October 2014, Newcastle, which was in the EFL Cup. 2-1 win that day. To put that into perspective, Phil Foden was 14 years old in the Man City academy, and Erling Haaland hadn't even made his professional debut for Brøndby in Norway at the time either. And having failed to score in 8 of their last 11 appearances at the Etihad, if they don't find the net inside this first half, then that Etihad hoodoo will certainly start trending in the Newcastle dressing room just a little bit. But 25 minutes gone here, and it has been all Manchester City, and now they've won a free kick right on the edge of their own half here, just to the left-hand side of the pitch. But nice controlling first 25 minutes from Pep Guardiola's side, looking a little bit more reassured on the ball than they were at the weekend against Tottenham. But as they showed us then, they went into that half-time break leading by 2-0, and they have kept up though their excellent record in scoring against Newcastle. It's with Semenyo down the right-hand side, cuts just inside the area. He's got support from Nunez just behind him, decides to go towards Phil Foden instead. He comes back towards Nunez, who's got a little bit more support, but he's got Lewis Hall for company. Back towards Foden, tries to open it up on his left-hand side, in towards O'Reilly, who can't quite cut past Ramsey inside the midfield, but the second ball's falls kindly towards Man City on the left-hand side, towards Ait Nouri. Leaves it off towards Reinders. Back in towards the middle to Gonzalez. Man City just passing it between themselves on the left-hand side of Newcastle's box, and they'll slowly but surely work it back towards the halfway line as well. The side that last won the EFL Cup, one of the COVID years in the 2021 season, the 8-time winners, Manchester City. 4 times Pep Guardiola has won this competition, tied with Sir Alex Ferguson. Can he potentially win a 5th before? But it's given away by Man City right on the edge of their own box, and it's going to be pulled down. It's going to be a free kick to Newcastle, and a yellow card comes out. But it was poor at the back from Matheus Nunes, lost out to Lewis Hall, started driving towards the Man City box, and Nunes rather tactfully and unsportsmanly just gave it away, but he just couldn't escape from Hall, who had his number, raced round the back of him. Gonzalez would have had the cover to get rid of the ball, but Nunes just pulled him back, and Newcastle will have an opportunity from a good angle to have a go at James Trafford right in the centre. 7 or 8 yards outside the box. It's a perfect opportunity. There's 5 stood around it. Can Newcastle pull something back here? Man City already eyeing the 23rd domestic cup final under Pep Guardiola's era. Only Newcastle can do something about that now. Free kick in an excellent position. James Trafford lines up his wall as Anthony Gordon moves away from the ball. Kieran Trippier, the man who places it. Lewis Hall also standing over it from left footer, but he's backed off as well. There's 3 Newcastle players making their own wall. There's 4 in the ball for Man City. Kieran Trippier, right-footed, over the wall, but it's straight into James Trafford. It had the accuracy, but it didn't have the power to beat the keeper down to his bottom right. He moved early across his line, James Trafford. He knew exactly where it was going to go. It wasn't a bad effort from Trippier, but it was comfortable for the goalkeeper. And now Man City with Semenyo towards the left-hand side. Tries to pull it back. Trippier with an excellent clearance. High in the air and it's put into the net. And that is likely game, set and match inside the first half. And it's Marmoush with his second of the day. And he just loves to play against Newcastle. And it's from one end to the other from the free kick. Trafford's got the ball up down the left-hand side. It was laid off in towards Semenyo. Semenyo got him onto his left-hand side. He's then tried to strike it into the far corner of Ramsdale's goal. It's then flicked up off Trippier, who's got himself back, but he just couldn't stop Marmoush coming in, and the simplest of headers from a yard out. And the Egyptian gets his second of the afternoon. And Manchester City have a comfortable lead now. It's Man City 2, Newcastle 0, and they lead 4-0 on aggregate. And Ramsdale could just flap at the ball that came across. Trippier did ever so well to get a foot on to stop it from going in towards the goal, but he couldn't stop it from going straight in the air. And as he's lying on the ground, he just watched Mamouche rise above him and just knock it into an empty net. And Man City are heading to Wembley with 60 minutes to play, unless something dramatic from Newcastle happens. We've seen them come back from 4-goal deficits before against the likes of Arsenal of Newcastle. But the smiles are on the Newcastle faces. Marmoush with his 5th goal in 3 games against Newcastle is having the time of his life this evening, and he won't get many easier chances than that one. Semenyo looked for the far corner. Trippier with a good defensive block, but the easiest of finishes for Marmoush as Newcastle try and get the ball down the right-hand side, looking for the run of Ramsey, but back towards Trafford in the goal, who just managed to squeeze it out and find a pass in towards the middle, but he got really lucky there. It ended up pulling it out, sort of prime Tom Brady through the gap, if you take the NFL reference, with the Super Bowl back on Sunday evening. 3 hours of adverts for 16 minutes of action, I think, is the amount of time the ball stays in. It might be less, actually. I think it's about 8 to 11 minutes the ball's involved. And despite it being an evening of pantry affairs, I do like that type of thing, so I will likely be watching. I don't want any of that type of thing coming into English football, though. The rumour was they're going to do a half-time show in the FA Cup, which, if ever was a definition of football and the game is gone, then it would certainly be that. But Man City are not letting this game go into Newcastle's hands. They've controlled the first 32 minutes. Now they've got a counter-attack down the right-hand side. Semenyo into space, opens it up, turns back onto his left, pulled back out to Starwood, and there's the third for City. And it's Reinders who adds to Newcastle's misery. And it's from one end to the other. It's simple football from Manchester City. Newcastle cannot live with them. Down the left-hand side, another good run on the counter. Semenyo picked up the ball on the right, tried to get it back onto his leg. It was a good tackle initially from Lewis Hall, but it then fell kindly towards Mamouche. Semenyo towards Reinders. Semenyo said, "You have a tap in, sunshine. I'll leave that one for you. I've been in good form lately." And Reinders gets himself on the score sheet, and this is turning out to be an absolute riot. And the Manchester City fans in the stadium have all but stopped knowing how to celebrate because it's been so common inside the opening 33 minutes. Barely a whimper as Man City's 5th on aggregate goes in. It's comfortable already. Man City 3, Newcastle 0, 5-0 on aggregate, and we're not even 33 minutes into this game. And it was another excellent attack from left to right. In the early stage of the contest, Man City held the ball in the Newcastle box, waited for the gaps to open behind. And as soon as they got that third goal, they knew Newcastle had to start coming at them then. And now they found themselves in time and time again behind that back three that converts to a 5, just not quick enough from a Newcastle perspective. And every time they go forward now, Man City, they look dangerous, and Newcastle just don't know what to do. All they can do now, the former, or the current holders, they won't be any more of this trophy, is try and save a complete embarrassment on the scoreboard. They put 10 past Exeter in the FA Cup not too long ago, Man City. Well, they're 3 down in 3 goals up inside 34 minutes already in this game, and it could be an absolute riot. Foden down the right-hand side towards Semenyo. He's yet to get on the scoreboard, and he'll certainly want to add to his tally. So far goes down in the area, calls for a potential penalty, waved away by Tony Harrington. Just 4 penalties he's given in his 18 games so far this season. He gave it 3 red cards as well, 1 red and a penalty each in the last game against Forest and Palace, as Gordon gets the advantage on this left-hand side, pulls it back towards Joe Willett. Can they make at least a game of it? Newcastle United neutrals watching won't be too entertained by the remainder of this game if it doesn't have any challenge in there, as Gordon goes down and wins a free kick towards the left-hand side of the box, halfway inside the Manchester City half. And if they want to put some effort into challenging Manchester City, as they just show the Semenyo potential penalty again, but he just turned his man and just lost his footing. Although Dan Burn did come across him, and Semenyo tripped over himself. How much he actually got a touch in on that, the defender, as Tonali and Hall stand over the free kick from this near side. Taken short towards Hall, down towards Gordon, who's just hugging the touchline, but he gives the ball away towards Foden. Lewis Hall has to do the recovery work and win it back, and Gordon has really struggled in the opening 36 minutes of this game. Back to Tonali on the halfway line. Sends it towards Gordon on the left-hand side. He's got Nunez for company. He's got some support from Willock on the overlap. Finds it and has the space on his left. Tries to take on his man. Goes through the legs in towards the area. Back towards Gordon on the left-hand corner. Brings it in towards Hall. Tries to loft it in towards the box. Willock can't get it past Man City player either. And then the free kick goes City's way. And nothing is going right for Newcastle in this first 45 minutes. And it's 3-0 that Man City lead on the scoreboard. And Newcastle, they've only won 1 in their last 6 games. All started with Man City beating them 2-0 in the last leg of this game. And now they're going to look like they're going to make it 1 in 7. The only win was a 3-0 win against PSV in the Champions League. They're 11th in the Premier League, Newcastle, 7 points now off those Champions League places. But they've lost as many as they've won. They're in near competition in the table as their biggest rivals. They said that to them as they're giving the ball away towards Semenyo, in towards the right-hand side. Chance for a 4th for City, but it's a good save from Ramsdale. It's straight at his chest, and that's taken the wind out of him in his near post, but it was Good work again from Man City and Semenyo on this near side. It was poor from Hall, laid it back. Semenyo picked up the loose pass, pulled it back onto the right, and it was Reinders who tried to go through Ramsdale more than anything, but Ramsdale getting his body in the way, and he's still on the ground. Ramsdale just slightly winded from the effort, but he's done well, the keeper, to keep his side still within 3 goals in this tie alone. It's Foden with the corner from the near side. There's 2 inside the 6-yard box. It's floated towards that near post. It's just hacked away by Walter Marder. And out for a throw in on this near side. Just got his foot through it. It was a poor ball in from Phil Foden from the corner kick. As the throw comes back in, taken short by Nunes, in towards Phil Foden, given away though, but won back really well by Gonzalez. Sends it towards Semenyo on the edge of the D, keeps it going towards the left hand side towards Ait Nouri. Back in the middle with O'Reilly. Just shifts it onto his left under pressure from Joe Willock into the feet of Ait Nouri, just hugging the far touchline, halfway inside the Newcastle half. Over on the left hand side, Man City just passing it around and just waiting patiently, methodically for the space to open up in the back line of the Newcastle defence. And I would say this game is certainly all over. Newcastle need 5 goals if they want to take it to extra time, even just. And City have scored in 24 of the last 25 games against Newcastle in all competitions now. The only time Newcastle have kept a clean sheet against City since 2014 was 1-0, which was a 1-0 win. In the EFL Cup 3rd round in September 2023. The only time in the last 25 games Newcastle have kept a clean sheet against Man City in all competitions. They really do struggle against City, not just here, but I think my stats on the penalties situation, I may just give you them at some point during the second half if it does remain this way, because I spend time looking at facts and stats for games, and you know they can't be used inside about 20 minutes of a game. You know it's going to be a very difficult one. It's lofted over the top looking for Reinders once again, just drifts inside the Manchester City box, which falls and stumbles though on the far byline, and Newcastle able to get the ball out on the near corner with Ramsey. Pushed back though inside his own box. Newcastle struggling now to clear it towards this left hand side. Goes long, but it's intercepted and actually ends up just bouncing over the top of Hall and O'Reilly, who both rose together for it. Newcastle had a tough start to life in this game, already being down by 2-0. Well, they've never helped themselves during the next 41 minutes. Man City controlling it on the scoreboard. 5-0 they lead on aggregate, 3-0 on the night here. Dominating on the scoreboard, dominating on the pitch as well. Newcastle just haven't had a sniff at the Manchester City goal. It's emphatic so far from Pep Guardiola's side. It's down the left-hand side with Reinders once again, just finds the overlap, comes back in towards Mamouche, the man who's on a hat-trick. 5 goals to his name against Newcastle, comes back to long range, and it's straight though at Ramsdale, who just keeps hold of it. And it was Gonzalez from distance, just tried to set it free, but it was just too close towards Aaron Ramsdale in the goal away to our right-hand side. The 27-year-old Englishman, been relegated 3 times from the Premier League as Aaron Ramsdale, Newcastle's backup keeper typically. And he's going from bad to worse from a Newcastle perspective, as Anthony Gordon is needing some support here from the physios. We'll have a stoppage in play while that takes effect. Man City now 3 without loss, looking for 4 in a row. 4 games without a loss after going back-to-back losses, including that embarrassing defeat to Bodo Glimt. Well, credit should go to Bodo Glimt really for that game. Manchester City refunded, or the players refunded the fans that travelled, their costs and expenses. Personally, I think you should just give credit to sides like Bodo Glimt when they pull out wins like that. They're deservedly in the competition for a reason. And just because your side may not live up to their expectation on the day doesn't mean that another side hasn't come out and lived above their expectations to deserve a win. I feel like it plays that win down a little bit from a Bodo Glimt perspective, although I don't think they would care too much because they actually went on to beat Atletico Madrid in the next round to get themselves through into the playoff phases. Bodo Glimt, a historic season for the Norwegians, a historic season for Newcastle United as well in the Champions League. It's the first time they've made the knockout phases. They almost got themselves into the last 16 as well, but came short against PSG after an excellent performance as Gordon comes off for Barnes. We're back underway here at Newcastle's linesman's flag goes up on the far side against Marmoush. And Newcastle forced into that early change. Gordon, who scored at the weekend, he's got an excellent record in the Champions League this season. He was actually Newcastle's first player in history to score in 3 consecutive Champions League games, the 24-year-old. But he has made his way off, and Barnes, who dropped to the bench for this game from that defeat against Liverpool, is back on the pitch. The 28-year-old also got an excellent record in the Champions League, 5 goals to his name on Europe's biggest stage. And Barnes yet to decide whether he'll pick Scotland in the summer. If his England chances don't materialise and Scotland is an option, then he has said he may pick them to play in the Champions League. You don't blame him. He'll play the likes of Haiti and Brazil. Which won't that be a classic at 2 in the morning, Haiti against Brazil, as Man City look to go long. 45 minutes up then on the clock. We'll wait to see how long will be added by the 4th official on this near side. It's going to be 4 minutes added on at the end of the first half, which has been controlled and dominated by Manchester City. Gordon off with an injury right at the end. The man that's created 14 big chances in this season's EFL Cup, more than any other player in the competition. Newcastle's biggest hope, arguably, for the day is the man that has to go off. And without the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and Joel Linton, that midfield void now for Newcastle. They've lost players who account for over 40% of their total tackles this season, which just allows them to have that soft centre. And they've been exploited time and time again through the middle by Manchester City, who give the ball away towards Walter-Mardo. Sends it down the right-hand side looking for Tonali. 3 minutes to go then with the 4 added on as Tonali goes down on the far side, and he'll win. Free kick taken quickly by Trippier, but it's going to be brought back by the referee, Tony Harrington. As Newcastle have a chance to put the ball into the box. There's plenty of fans here at the Etihad going for their half-time libations and a bovril here in the north. You don't know what a bovril is, you ought to. A pie and a bovril to keep you warm in the north is almost blasphemous if you don't. A long ball goes in with a good header, and it's a forced save by Trafford. With finally a little bit of life from Newcastle at the end of the half. Trafford has the smile on his face. It was a good ball from the far side played in towards Walter-Mardo, and it was Sven Botman who got there ahead of Ake, looking for the near corner. And James Trafford, who's had an easy first 45 minutes, just pushed it away towards the left-hand side, and he's enjoying A smile on his face. He's made his second save of the afternoon. The corner kick from the far side from Newcastle, taken short towards Hall. Lays it back, looks like a handball from the far side. Surely a penalty to Newcastle. The referee's got to make a decision here. It's gone out for a corner kick. The players at Newcastle adamant that they should have a penalty. It was Hall flicked it back towards Trippier. Trippier tried to cross it in towards the boxes. Nunez, who hands up towards his face, sort of trying to block his face. It will be rather harsh if it goes against him. But his left hand was up. It was tight to him. Really close to his face. And it won't be given as a penalty. I said it would have been harsh. It is going to be a corner kick. 60 seconds to go at the end of this first half then. 9 Newcastle players make the way into the penalty area to our left-hand side. 4 stood at the far end of the box. It's almost the Arsenal set-piece type, but they've gone short instead. Now they're going to go along towards the far side, but good keeping from Trafford, and he'll win the free kick as well. He just came out, got there ahead of Dan Burn, and in doing so won the free kick, won the ball, and won his side some time, which will take Man City to half-time, where they will be leading very, very comfortably. We do still have to wait for that time to drain, but a dominant display inside the opening 45 minutes from Manchester City here at the Etihad. They're 10 without loss, and they've scored in their last 10 as well here on home soil. They've started to try and find some confidence. They haven't quite had that throughout the league so far this season, where Arsenal are trying to get away from them. But the one thing for sure is they are all but away from Newcastle United. It's half-time here at the Etihad. It's Man City 3, Newcastle 0, 5-0 on aggregate. Marmoush got lucky after he found himself forward. An excellent tackle from a Newcastle defender came back off Marmoush, and his shot bounced over the top of Ramsdale to give Man City an early lead. He then made it 2-0 with a tap-in after good work from the left on Semenyo. Pulled it back, Trippier got the block in, but all he could do was put it straight into the air for Marmoush just to knock it down with the header from a yard out. Moments later, it was Manchester City 3, Newcastle 0, as Reinders placed home from 12 yards after Semenyo again down the right-hand side, pulled it back onto his left. Tackle came in, fell kindly towards Reinders, who just tucked it into the bottom left-hand corner of Ramsdale's goal. It's been all Man City. Newcastle have forced Trafford into 2 saves, one from a Trippier free kick, and then the other from a Botman header right at the end of the half. But it's Man City's night so far. As it stands, they're off to Wembley. It's Man City 3, Newcastle 0.
Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out player ratings, shot maps and more in-depth info on the match page. Remember to check out FootMob's social channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. Thank you for listening to FootMob's audio commentary. Be sure to check out play.
Good evening all. Excuse me, got half-time. Half-time pie stuck down the old wrong way there. Good evening all and welcome back to the second half. We're just waiting for the players to make their way out of the tunnel here. It looks like there's going to be two changes at least being made by Newcastle United. Johan Wieser and Anthony Elanga are both out warming up in front of us. Their kits off. They've come out with the Newcastle side. They came out as a team before the start of this second half, and it will be three changes that they're actually going to make, as well as they're going to also bring on Jacob. So they're also going to bring on Jacob Murphy as well. Man City have made one change with Ake coming off for Max Allen. And then Newcastle, three changes to their name with Walter Marder off for Wieser. As the fourth official in front of us goes through the list of numbers on his scoreboard as he quickly writes through them. Jacob Murphy making his way on alongside Anthony Elanga. And he hasn't turned it this way, so we'll just have to get confirmation about the two other players. I'll try and work it out by number deduction, but for Man City, Allen is the one to come on for Ake in their side, and I'll give you the Newcastle side in a moment as well. So for the side leading by 5-0 on aggregate as it stands, they've got James Trafford